Now it's time to continue our sailing skills series, but we won't even be leaving the marina this time as we look at how to leave a raft.
Well, the sun's come out and it finally feels like summer's arrived, and with that everybody's getting out on the water. The downside is it's all getting very crowded, and a lot of the marinas you'll find that you have to raft up now rather than being able to get your own berth. With that, there are all sorts of problems. So this time we're going to have a look at how we get out of a raft when we're not the outside boat, we're in the middle, we can't move the outside boat because maybe the crew's gone ashore, and how we can get out without upsetting the whole raft and drive out under control. We're going to let the middle boat leave whilst keeping control of the outside yacht. This involves rearranging a few lines, but the final result means that we're all in control and no one has to leave and then rejoin the raft later. So in this scenario, we're going to imagine that we've set ourselves up a little exercise, and essentially what we're going to do is get this boat out from in between these two boats in the raft. This boat's got a crew of two. The outside boat has got no crew on board, or maybe the skipper's gone ashore leaving just a couple of crew on board, and so they can't drive off and leave us a space to get out and then come back onto the raft. So we're going to look at a way of getting this boat out using the appropriate lines given where the wind and tide are, to get out cleanly off over in that direction and leave that boat on the raft so that it can be pulled back in once we've left. Now, as we sit here, we can see that the wind is moving in, is on the back of the boat, and the tide is also driving down in that direction. So unlike most moorings where we want to be going into wind or into tide when we leave the mooring to give ourselves the maximum control, now the priority really shifts away from the boat that's leaving to what the requirements are for the raft. And what we really want is for the wind and tide to push the boats back together again. Now, if we go in the normal way, where this boat leaves into wind or into tide, the result of that is that the raft then splits open and you have a real pain getting everything sorted out, and in fact sometimes it can be impossible to pull the boats back in. So the key to this is to set off downwind or down tide, depending on which is the stronger of the two elements. So when we tie the boat up in a raft, we're going to essentially have a bow line, a stern line and two springs on the inside boat, and that system is repeated for every boat in the raft. Each boat has its own bow line, its own stern line and two springs, one to stop it going forward, the other to stop it going backwards. In addition to that, when you're in the raft, you'll have some lines which go from your boat to the shore. That enables us to prevent the load coming onto all of the load being put on the inside boat. So we've got a line now going from this cleat out to the middle boat and one going out to the outside boat. Now clearly, if we're going to leave in that direction, we're going to need to take this line off. So it's time to get the crew busy to start taking off some lines and get this show on the road. Okay guys, what I'd like to do, we're going to need a very, very long line so that we can attach that to the stern of the boat and bring it all the way around. So Nick, if you could grab a line out as long as you can find. Now what we're doing, Nick's going to prepare a line now which is essentially the longest line on the boat. And in this case we're having to use a spinnaker guy because none of our normal walks are going to be long enough. We're going to attach that line to the stern of the outside boat. It's going to run all the way around the back of this boat and all the way forward again to the stern of the boat I'm standing on. So what you'll need is a really long line, the longest line you can find. In our case we've used a spinnaker guy, but don't be scared of tying two lines together if you can't find any long enough. So that when this boat goes out, we've actually got a stern line attached, and as the boat clears the raft, we can then gently pull the outside boat back in alongside this boat.